have come under the spotlight at the two-day Third African Union Studies Annual Symposium. The symposium kicked off this morning with the scholars, policymakers and activists deliberating on the AU's advances and what has been termed the new scramble for Africa. Tamo Kapisa reports.
This symposium offers a timely and critical platform to reflect, reimagine and reposition the AU and its member states in the face of contemporary global disruptions, regional alignments and internal challenges. Thus, this symposium aims to interrogate the AU's role, responsibly and potential in responding to the new scramble for Africa.
At least 13 people have been killed and 16 others injured in shelling at the main hospital in Sudan's besieged city of Al Fasher, North Darfur. A medical source said the Saudi hospital told the BBC the facility was hit several times on Tuesday night, allegedly by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. The BBC's Richard Cargo has the details.
Pictures showed shattered windows, cracks from shrapnel, a gaping hole in the mud brick wall and twisted metal from hospital beds covering the floor. Among the injured are a doctor and a nurse. Their colleagues at the only functioning medical facility in Al Fasher have called the attack a war crime. It's the second strike on the hospital this year. The first in January killed 3 children and injured 3 others.
And finally, operations on the ground continue in Gaza despite the announcement of a landmark agreement for a ceasefire. The plan, which was first announced by US President Donald Trump, includes a ceasefire that is expected to come into effect after the Israeli cabinet has approved it later today. Hostages will also be exchanged in return for thousands of Palestinian detainees. The BBC's Liz Doucette has the story.
Still a very rocky road to peace, not just in Gaza, but across this region. But at least the journey has begun, and some of the details are still being argued over, including the names of the Palestinians prisoners to be released as part of this deal, and the big plumes of smoke rising from Gaza City, underlining that there still isn't a ceasefire. And on the ground, there are certain to be Palestinians who are asking, well, we heard about a ceasefire, why hasn't the operation stopped?
Recapping the top story this hour, South Africa's National Police Commissioner Thami Ngubeni says criminal cartels could be hatching a plan to remove him from office. For any stories you would like to share with us, please do send an email to newsroom@channelafrica.co.za or call us on +27 11 714 4459. For Channel Africa News, I'm Jolani Tulo-Wepe.
SABC News, the African perspective.
In a sports headline, Ronaldo becomes football's first billionaire, and Kenya's Paralympic team is expecting motivational reward from the president. I'll be back with these and other stories at the bottom of the hour.
Connecting Africa to the world. Africa in Business with Thami Ngubeni brings you the latest insights on Africa's economy.
It is exactly 7 minutes after 4 p.m. Central African time. Here's what we've got in store for you on this Thursday afternoon. As usual, we'll be bringing you our weekly G20 feature. And today we'll be focusing on the role that the Pan-African Parliament plays in tabling the African agenda in the midst of the G20. Also, in our C-Suite feature, we feature a really amazing woman. I was just saying to the team earlier on, I really look forward to introducing you to her if you don't know her already. She really is a self-made woman and has expanded her company at a phenomenal rate. She's not only into funerals and financial services, but also other industries as well. We'll find out more about that. And also illicit tax flows once again under the spotlight at the 13th Pan-African Conference on Illicit Financial Flows and Taxation. But we begin here this afternoon with the Consumer Goods Council of South Africa. They say the current economic environment has a negative impact on the retail sector. This is because when consumers don't have buying power, retailers feel the pinch. However, recently, retail trade has been seeing an increase, and the council says this is due to the resilience that the country possesses. Nothando Magudulela reports.
The retail sector has seen an increase in trade sales this year. In July, retail trade sales increased by 5.6% year-on-year. The Consumer Goods Council of South Africa CEO, Zinhle Tsike, says this is because of consumers' resilience as well as retailers aiming to absorb costs to lessen the burden on consumers.
South Africans were a resilient country, and then the consumers are resilient, similar to the sector that we are operating in, the FMCG retailers and manufacturers. It's a really resilient country, but I think the key thing of why we're seeing some relief at the point of sale is because of all the discounts that our members are impactful and intentional about making sure that food is available for South African South Africans. Nutritious food is available because we understand the country that we're in. We see the challenges that the country is in. While, we have these all economical issues, we have political issues that are a challenge for the country. We need to make sure that when we go to the point of sale, we make sure that our consumers are feeling a little bit of relief.
The council chair, Gareth Ackerman, says more still needs to be done to ensure more growth in the retail sector.
The economy has not been growing. 1% for I don't know how many years now is not something that's going to create growth. With the population growth that we're having in this country, we are going backwards, and that has been a big impact on the retail sector. And you see all the retailers' growth is not what it could be. But you also see a huge growth at the moment in the informal or the small sector of the economy. We've seen a lot of growth there with people wanting to shop closer to home. People want to buy small packages. They don't have a lot of money.
Founder of Dignify Afro Beauty, Amanda Sibolai, says while the internet provides access to markets, it is still a mission to have their products on the top retailers' shelves.
Look, it was easy in terms of social media and your friends and people that you know to let them know, hey, I've got this, try it out. They started buying and they started seeing their hair looking amazing. What is difficult is to get into the retail stores, and that's why we're here. And we're looking forward to just getting a door open for either Checkers, Pick and Pay, Clicks, Discam. Let us in.
Others say they have collaborated through innovative inventions. Andre Jordan from Meters Corporation.
We've implemented a technology where we laser onto the bottle, and what we're going to then do is we're going to scan every time this bottle comes in for inspection, washing. We're going to scan this and give the data to Coca-Cola, which they can use for life cycle management, traceability, and to say, listen here, sustainability. Our bottles can be reused, so which is good for eco and all of those type of things. And then we've got here a printer, and what makes this printer so special is it can actually, after it's printed, it can scan the barcode, and if the barcode is not scannable, it will print over it and reprint, which helps you with, especially in FMCG, which helps you to send out product that you know you can scan at point of sale.
The council says big retailers are adapting to new technology, such as having digital payments and cashless payments, which leads to retailers' agility. Notando Makutulela in Johannesburg.
Africa, voici Abedi.
Oui, c'est moi.
Abedi est un passionné de musique dans l'âme. Il a un goût pour toutes sortes de musique et passe ses journées à écouter Channel Africa.
J'aime beaucoup la musique africaine.
Ok. Devinez quoi? Channel Africa veut aider Abedi et les mélomanes du monde entier à découvrir encore plus de musique incroyable. C'est pourquoi Channel Africa appelle les artistes africains à soumettre leur musique. Chers artistes, n'oubliez pas de nous fournir toutes vos informations pertinentes à l'email adresse musique@channelafrica.co.za. Les soumissions sont votre chance d'être entendues, mais elles ne garantissent pas une playlist. Toutes les soumissions seront soigneusement examinées pour voir si elles répondent aux exigences de notre station. Channel Africa, la perspective africaine.
África. Conhece o Ntivani?
Claro que sou eu.
O Ntivani é o amante da música de corpo e alma.
Eu amo música africana.
Ele aprecia todos os tipos de melodias e passa os seus dias a ouvir a Channel Africa. Okay. Adivinha só, a Channel Africa quer ajudar o Ntivani e os amantes da música em todo o lado a descobrir ainda mais música incrível. Por isso, a Channel Africa está a convocar artistas africanos a submeterem as suas músicas. Músicos, lembrem-se de nos dar todas as informações relevantes no music @channelafrica.co.za. As submissões são a vossa oportunidade de ser ouvidos, mas não garantem inclusão na lista. Todas as submissões serão cuidadosamente analisadas para verificar se cumprem os requisitos da nossa estação. Canal África, a perspectiva africana.
In this episode of Channel Africa Conversations, Peter talks to Dr. Thulisile Buda, an academic, author, and an expert in indigenous knowledge systems. Join us for a compelling discussion on preserving African languages and traditions in the digital era. Dr. Thulisile unpacks the role of educators, explorers, and how technologies like AI can support cultural preservation, and challenges us to rethink how we honor African heritage. You can find the episode on YouTube, SABC Plus, and on our website, channelafrica.co.za. This episode is a must-listen for educators, creators, and change makers across the continent. Channel Africa, the African perspective. Africa means business. Tune into Africa in Business with Thami Ngubeni for the future of the African economy. Channel Africa, the African perspective.
It is exactly 15 minutes after 4 p.m. Central African time. Just a reminder of what we've got in store for you today. You'll remember that earlier on in the month of October, the G20 Parliamentary Speakers Summit, known as the P20, took place in Cape Town, South Africa. On the back of that, what are the kind of conversations that are happening regarding Africa's impact and influence on the G20 agenda? That is the bone of our conversation, the meat of our conversation this afternoon, as we speak to Jeffrey Onganga. He is the head of media and communications at the Pan-African Parliament. Also hosting the CEO of Icebo Letu Group, Nomfindo Mtoyi, as I was introducing her earlier on, a really dynamic woman who has managed to branch off and a self-start, a self-made woman in many ways. We'll also be focusing on the 13th Pan-African Conference on illicit financial flows and taxation. The former president of South Africa, President Thabo Mbeki, was saying that the continent continues to lose billions of dollars annually through illegal capital fights. And we'll be focusing on that this afternoon as we speak to the Chief Executive Officer at the National Taxpayers Association.
Yo. Listen up.
Check it out.
Channel Africa is taking the digital game higher.
Check it out.
We are taking our digital platforms to the next level for you, our loyal listeners.
You know where we at, right?
New website, a fresh new app, and they're on fire. Anytime, anywhere listening, Channel Africa brings the African sound to you.
It's the bomb, yo.
Stay locked. The future is crystal clear with us. Your new way to experience Channel Africa is almost here. Africa, stand tall and get ready. G20 in Africa, exclusive to Channel Africa and SAFM, championing Africa through solidarity, equality, and sustainability.
Welcome to it, Africa. This is our weekly G20 feature between ourselves as a Channel Africa and SAFM. And a very good afternoon to you, Ashraf Garda, talking once again as we focus on South Africa's G20 presidency. You know, it is termed as Africa's G20. So it's not about South Africa, but it's about the entire African continent. And this is really because for the first time, the summit will be taking place on African soil. And as the 2025 G20 chair, South Africa is well positioned to champion the priorities of emerging markets and also to elevate Africa's development agenda, but within, obviously, the G20 framework.
Well, I'll tell you what, and we